Good morning, everyone. We will start our course about web designing. In previous session of the course, we have covered the topics HTML5 attributes, then some HTML5 events. We have gone through the list of several attributes and events which are available in HTML5. We have also have identified some common attributes that we use when we are making use of the different elements in HTML5. And then we have started the discussion on the features of Web Forms 2.0. Some new features are added in Web Forms 2.0 in HTML 5.0. So what are these HTML5 forms? We have seen in previous session that it is extension to HTML4 forms. It supports wide range of the controls such as text input, single line or multi-line, buttons, radio buttons, checkboxes, lists, single and multi-select list, menus. So all these different controls are already available in HTML4. And in previous section, with the help of example, we have coded a form and we have seen how to use these controls. Now, next to that, we have also seen that some new features are added for better support in HTML5, and the controls are for URL, number, email address, date, time, and range. Along with these new controls, some attributes are also added in HTML5, such as placeholder attribute, autofocus attribute, and required attribute. So what are the uses of these attributes and how to make use of these controls, which are specifically used for entering the input of type, URL, number, email address, date, time, and range, that we are going to see in this session. So this we will do with the help of one example. So let us perform the example by using Notepad++. In Notepad++, we will make use of all these controls and we will code it. Okay. So let me share you the Notepad++. So for that, I will share once again desktop, and from that I will open here Notepad++ file. Everyone is able to see the Notepad++ on your screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, let's start typing here. So you know that first line is of DOC type. So DOC type HTML, and then after that we have start tag of the page HTML and end tag of the page HTML. Okay, just save this particular page. Suppose in desktop I have created today's folder, and here you select this option for hypertext markup language, and here let us give example from new features .html. Save it. Now here in this we have two sections, head section, then close head section. Now see here, when I am typing here head section, what I want, automatically closing tag should complete. So auto completion feature that I want. One feature I am able to use it here. See, if I press B, then all the elements or the attributes which are starting from B are coming here in the list. So I can select, suppose BO, then BO, body coming. So if I enter on body, so a complete word is get inserted. But along with this feature, I also want to make use of the feature which is supported by Notepad++, and it is the auto completion feature. What does this feature do? This feature inserts a closing tag. When I insert the opening tag, automatically it inserts the closing tag. So suppose that I want here, what I should do, I have to click on settings tab and then preferences tag, and from that select here auto completion. And in auto completion, see here, there is one checkbox, HTML/XML close tag. Just select it. So close tag will appear automatically. Already we have enabled the auto completion for the input for each function and for each word. I have now also selected so that the close tag will appear. So close it. And now see, if I type here body, automatically the closing tag is coming. So there is no need to give me closing tag. It will come automatically. So in your Notepad++, if it is not supporting you by default, these features, you please add it and make use of it. And then after that, just put a title. So in this title, I will give HTML5 waveforms new features. Waveform new features. So please, and then in body tag, we'll create one form. So form action is equal to, suppose say example x script, means example script written in suppose Python, that we are not writing but sample name I am giving. And then method, in previous session we learned that there are two methods. One is get method and another one is post method. What is difference between get and post method, that also we have seen. So let me use here get method, give some name to the form such as say F1, and then close here the form. See, automatically end tag for form is coming. And then after this, I will put here input element. And now if I want to make use of URL control now, so input type is equal to, in double quotes, make use of URL. So put U, R and L. Input type is equal to URL. Give name is equal to, say, new URL, whatever the name that you can give. And here just close the input tag. Over here also we can close. And just now put one button. So input type is equal to submit. And then after that input type is equal to submit. And then value, click on me, like this, and then close here. So here we have inserted a URL control by writing this line input type is equal to URL. Now if I run this in the Firefox, if I run this particular file in the Firefox, I can see the output like this. So I have rendered here forms new features.html. So see, here you can see the URL text box, and in this URL text box, if I type like this A, B, C, D, E, F, and if I click, what it is giving me error? It is giving me error, please enter a URL. So it will only accept URL. So I have to give URL such as http://nmu.ac.in/. So if I do this and if I click on that, then it is going to click to that particular website. See here, nmu.ac.in. It is not going to go there because I have done that type of the setting, but it is accepting. It is not giving me the error that please insert the URL. But if I give wrong input to the text box such as X, Y, Z, like that, and if I do it, it is giving me error that please enter a URL. So this is the control for URL. This is the control for URL. Everybody is able to see the output in the browser's window. Yes.
Yes,
Please.
ma'am.
Yes.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
this is about the URL control. Now after URL, let's see one another control which is supported by HTML5. So input type is equal to number. Input type is equal to number. Give some name. Name is equal to say new number. Whatever the name of the control that you can give. Input type is equal to number. Again here you can use the attribute such as mean. Means you can specify the range of that particular number that you are going to insert. Such as mean is equal to 0. Max is equal to say 50. But it is not compulsory that you should enter. But if you insert, still it is okay. If you do not insert mean and max attribute, still it is okay. And if you want that by default some value should come, such as say 9, it should come with the value say 9. You can ignore the double quotes or you can give the double quotes. It doesn't make any difference. So value, by default value I am inserting here 9. So here I have make use of the control called as number. Input type is equal to number. Now if in this control, if I am entering the text, it will give me error that you should enter now the number. And now it will ask me to enter only the numbers between 0 to 50 because the minimum and maximum value I have specified. So if you will see this now in the Firefox, see here, this by default 9 is there. And see here, by step of 1 it is increasing. By default step is equal to 1. So this way. Now if I want to insert, I can insert. So if suppose I am inserting here say 21, so it is going to enter me the 21. But if suppose I am going to insert here the characters, and if I click on, what it is giving me error, please enter a number. Please enter a number. So this way I can make use of the control number. I can make use of the control number. Then next to that, we can make use of the another control. Let me put here BR so that it will break a row after each control. Here also take a break row here and then put new control. Input type is equal to email. Input type is equal to email. So email address, it will allow us to insert. So name, say that new email. So it will ask me to put the new email. Okay. Now, if I run this in the Firefox, I will launch the web page in the Firefox. See here, this is the email address. So here xyz@gmail.com. This is a valid email address, means format of the email address, valid format of the email address. So it will go, it will call that particular Python script and it will doesn't give error. But if suppose I give like this, only XYZ, and if I click on me, if I will click on the button, click on me, what error it will give? Please enter an email address. So XYZ is not the correct form of the email address. If suppose I give XYZ only @@ symbol and click on me, still it will give me, please enter an valid email address. So it will ask a correct format of the email address, and that only it is going to accept. Otherwise, it will not allow the user to move further to submit the form. So this is what the new control which is supported by HTML5, which is called input type is equal to email. The next input type is equal to, after email, we'll make use of the another control. Input type is equal to date. Input type is equal to date. So it will give a control in which you can insert a valid date. So see here, I can give a name such as a new date and just close this and then close it. So let us put BR break row. One more break row I will put. Just save it, and here also I will put text. The button will appear on the new line. Just see it in the Firefox. So see here, this is the date. If you will see in the date control, I have obtained here the calendar. So for example, if I want to insert today's date, so say 19/8/2020. If I want to change, so I can insert another. So for example, if I want to insert a date from say 2018, so I can select 2018's August month, like that. And then here I can put here some date such as say 21 August 2018. Like that, a date control will allow you to enter the date. Okay. So this way that control can be used. And now we'll move further to the next control. So after date, we'll see time control. So input type is equal to time. Then name is equal to say new time. And then close this tag. Put here break row. So input time is inserted. And now if you will see this in the Firefox, launch the page, see here time. So you can insert here time. So this is hours, this is minutes, and this is seconds. So you can insert over here the correct time, whatever that you wish to insert. Okay. So for example, 10:58 and say suppose 9 seconds. So 9 seconds or whatever is the seconds that you wish to insert, and then click on me will allow you to insert the time. So this way date control, time control, and after that make use of the another control which is the range control. So let us make use of the range control. So input type is equal to range, and then name is equal to new range. So after this, since this is a range, you should make use of minimum and maximum attributes. So minimum, it suppose starts from 1. Maximum, if it suppose enters up to say 30. And step, you can make use of step attribute. Step of suppose say 2. So this is what it is asking. And value, if suppose you are inserting say 8 by default, here close. So see, for input control, range, type is equal to range, name, give some name to the control. Minimum value is set to 1, maximum value is set to 30, step is set to 2, and the default value that we wish to appear is set to 8. And then just put here BR so that buttons will appear on the next row. And now here, if we will run it, if we will launch it in the Firefox, here the range is coming. So likewise. Now, if you will click on, so that particular number, it is going to be inserted. That value is going to be inserted. So this way, the range control you can insert on your HTML page by using input type is equal to range and the values 1 to 30 and step of 2. Those values will be assigned to the each value of the range. So this way we have seen how do you can make use of the new features which are supported by Web Form 2.0, and we have learned today that how do you can use the new controls such as URL, number, email, date, time, and range. Along with that, this HTML5 is supporting some new features in the form of some new attributes. So placeholder, autofocus, and the required, these are the attributes that we can make use of in the designing of the web pages, and those are very useful attributes. So what is the use of placeholder attribute? Whenever you are inserting some control in which you are asking some information from the user to fill, in that if you wish that by default some text should appear, So that text you can set by using placeholder attribute. For example, I will use that placeholder attribute with this email control. So I will use placeholder. Placeholder is equal to, I will put please enter email address. Please enter email address here. Okay, please enter email address here. So the attribute placeholder I have used with the control input type is equal to email. And what is the value to the attribute placeholder I have said? Placeholder is equal to please enter email address here. Just save this and run the page in the Firefox. Launch it in the Firefox. See here, for the email address control, you can see here, please enter email address. That text is coming. And now here, when you are going to type some email address, say XYZ, so at that time, that particular text will disappear. Okay. So one can understand what I should enter over here. So that text, if you want to appear in the forms, any control, such as if suppose you are making use of text box control, then there also you can write by using this placeholder attribute that enter your name, enter your city, enter your address, enter your comments, like that. So that you can specify inside that, and that text will automatically get disappear when you are going to add the content in that particular control, either text box, or it can be the controls like email address, date, range, number, or for comment if you are making use of text area. Then to all that you can specify this placeholder attribute. So this way, this is the use of placeholder attribute. Then one another attribute is autofocus. So this autofocus attribute is Boolean attribute. So if you make use of it, then it will be true. If you do not make use of it, by default, its value is false. Okay. So if I specify the autofocus to say email address, or not to email address again, but suppose to say number. Here I will insert that autofocus. See, it is automatically coming. So to the number, which one is, this is the second control in the list of the controls we inserted. So to the second control, we have inserted here autofocus as the Boolean attribute. So for number, autofocus is set to true now. Let us save it and launch this web page in the Firefox. So if we will see, the by default control or focus is on to the number control. Otherwise, it is on the first control. But since I have given autofocus to number, by default it is to the number control. So this way, if you want that, first of all, the focus should be onto this control, onto this element, then you can make use of autofocus attribute to that particular element. Okay. Then one another attribute is supported by HTML5, which is the required attribute, and it is the Boolean attribute. So this required attribute makes that that particular control to be filled compulsory. Otherwise, it will give error. So for example, if I insert that required attribute to this input type URL, new URL, so required attribute, it's a Boolean. So just put required. So if I make it required, what do it will give me? The error. If I using it, see, launch in Firefox. And now if I am clicking on click on me, it is giving please fill out this field, because this is required attribute. Otherwise, it will not allow us to go further. So HTTP this way. I should compulsory fill this particular control, because this is the required attribute. So whatever the attributes that you make, that you wish to make compulsory to be filled by the user, when the user is filling a form, you can make those attributes as a required attribute. And how to make required attribute? Just simply put the keyword required into that control. So automatically it will become compulsory. In HTML4, this job we have to do by writing a JavaScript. We have to call a JavaScript here. And in that JavaScript, that script is taking care that whether this field has been filled by the user or not. If user do not have filled, then that JavaScript is raising the error that since this is the compulsory field, you cannot go further. So this job was complex in HTML4, but HTML5 have made it very easy just by putting the attribute required. You can do it is very simple in HTML5. So this new feature which is added in HTML5 have reduced our job and we can easily make use of all these controls. So in this session we have learned how to make use of control URL, number, email, date, time, range. Along with that, we also have seen the uses of placeholder attribute, required attribute, and autofocus attribute. Okay, so along with this example, we have learned. I hope everyone you might have understood it. Everyone you might have understood it that how you can make use of all these controls in HTML5. So if you have any query regarding this session, you can ask me. Yes? Do you have any query regarding use of these new controls in HTML5? Yes? Anyone can please? Huh? Yes, who is talking? Please.
केतन.
Ketan, huh? Please, Ketan.
हा मॅम, हे आपले फीचर्स जे आहेत न्यूली ऍडेड ते इंटरनेट एक्सप्लोरर वर वर्क नाही होत का?
If it is not supporting to the HTML5, then it will not work. Best is you make use of Google Chrome, Mozilla Firefox.
अच्छा, हो, ते फायरबॉक्स वर वर्क होत आहे ते.
Yes, on Firefox they will surely will work. On Internet Explorer also they will work, but then you have to enable to your Explorer so that they will be supporting the new features of HTML5. For that there is a script that we have to run to check whether the Internet Explorer is supporting to HTML5 or not. That you can check. If you will make a Google query that give me the script to check whether Internet Explorer is supporting to HTML5 or not, that one will give you the JavaScript that you can just try to run on your Internet Explorer, and that will give you the message whether your Internet Explorer is supporting to HTML5 or not.
Okay, ma'am.
Any other query? If you do not have any query, we will move to the next topic. No queries? Okay. So what I'll do, I will share you the next presentation, which is made for the next topic. So let me share you that one. Everyone is able to see the screen?
Yes,
That I have shared. Okay. So let us start with the new topics that we are going to cover now in this session. So in the last session means that whatever we have covered today, we have learned about web forms 2.0. We have learned how to add new features for the better support, such as controls for URL, number, email address, date, time, and range. Along with that, we have learned how to make use of the attributes, placeholder, autofocus, and required. Now, in this session, we are going to learn about how do we can code the text elements, links, lists, images, and how do we can test and validate the web pages. So what do you mean by testing and validating the web pages? That also we are going to do. So how to code the text elements, that first of all we will see. Now in previous lectures, we have seen the basic structure of the HTML document. So you know that in the basic structure of the HTML document, there are two sections. One is the head section and another one is the body section. In head section, normally we make use of the elements such as title element, meta element, link element. Normally we write the script in the head section. Now, in the body section, whatever the content that you wish that it should appear on the browser's window, that we put in the body section. This we have seen when we have discussed about the basic structure of the HTML document. This we have seen. Now, we also have seen that how do we can code elements and tags. How we can code elements? We have to specify start tag. How we specify start tag? We enclose that name of the element in the pair of these angular brackets. So that will be the start tag. And what is end tag? In end tag, we just precede that name of the element with the slash. Okay. That way we put the end tag. How do we can code attributes? Normally we put attributes in the start tag. Normally means compulsorily we put the attributes in the start tag. So name of the attribute followed by is equal to sign and in double quotes, or you may ignore double quotes, you can put the attributes. So that can be a number, that can be a value, that can be the URL, that can be the path of the file. So that can be the attribute values. Then next to that, how do you can put comments and white spaces in your HTML file? That we do not have seen when we have learned the basic structure. So that a small point was not taken at that time. So therefore here I have added a sample code. In that it is shown that how do you can code comments and how do you can put the white spaces. So comment, how you can put comment anywhere you can put in the HTML web page, in the HTML document. Here one comment I have inserted over here. In the red lines you can see the comments. See here, this is the first comment. It starts with this angular bracket followed by exclamatory sign followed by 2 dashes. And then this document is about course web designing. And then 2 dashes and closing angular bracket. So this is the comment. And what is the meaning of comment? That comment will not appear anywhere on the browser's window. That comment will not appear, means the text that you have included in the comment will not appear on the browser's window. Not in the head section, not in the body section, nowhere that comment will appear. This is just for the purpose that you will get idea that this section is for what purpose. As a writer of that particular web page, suppose in future if you want to know that this paragraph is written for about what, so you can put just simply a comment. Likewise here I have put a comment that in body section after h1 tag I have put a comment. This paragraph is giving information about unit 2, and then in this paragraph I will add all the information related to unit 2. So this comment is for me, that if in future, if I open this HTML page, if I forget that what is the use of this paragraph, this particular text is related to what, that if I want to understand, then I can put here one comment. So comments normally also you give in your programs. So why we make use of comments? To specify that this particular code of the lines are for what purpose, or generally giving the information about the author, the address, so that you can put here at the start in the comment. And likewise you can code the comments in HTML web document. And white spaces means in the form of tabs, in the form of the carriage return, in the form of the spaces, you can give the white space, and that white space will be ignored by the browser. So whatever the space you have given in the P, that will appear. So by default that number of the space it will take, and then it will show you. So this way you can insert or you can code the comments and the white spaces in the HTML web document. Now, next to that, we'll continue with this coding of the text elements and links, list, images. So in that, we will learn on this slide, that how do you can code the head section. So the head section starts with the head element. And in the head section, normally we specify the title for the page. See here, in this example, this DOC type HTML, start of the HTML tag, head, and in title, some title is given such as link to the icon file. And then here in the head section, we have make use of the link element. So you can identify to a linked file in the head section. So link rel is equal to shortcut icon, href is equal to the name of that particular icon file, and type is equal to favicon.ico. We will do it practically when we will finish this complete presentation. At the end, we will have a demo. In that, I will show you practically that how to make use of this favicon. So here, just I want to show you that this link element you can use in the head section. So at the place of the shortcut icon, you can put style sheet. I have shown you already that how to link a style sheet to the HTML page. So at that time, link rel is equal to style sheet, href is equal to name of the style sheet file, and the extension to the style sheet file is .css, and type is equal to, at that time, type is equal to what? It is text/css. So like that, different files can be linked in the head section. Along with this title link, we can make use of the meta element also in the head section that we are going to understand in the next slide. That how do we can make use of the meta element. After head section, we have a body section, and in the body section, we put the content that we already have learned. So here, this way we can code the head section. Now, in the head section, we can include metadata, as I have said in the previous slide. So how do you can use it? See here in this page, I have started the web page with this doc type HTML, then start HTML, head, title is given, use of metadata. And then in the head section, we have make use of the meta element. So meta tag is used. After that, one attribute is used, which is http-equiv, http equiv. So that is the name of the attribute. And this http equiv is having the value as content type. So what do you mean of this particular attribute? This will allow you to specify the HTTP equivalents that you can use in this particular web document. So here, which HTTP equivalents we are going to specify? So that is the content type. And therefore, next to that, there should be the attribute content. And to the content, the value is, what is the content? It is text/HTML. Content of the file is text/HTML. Semicolon, the content is making use of char set UTF-8. This content in double quotes have the single value which is separated by the two different properties. One is the content type text/HTML, and another one is the char set information UTF-8. So here, this way we have make use of the attribute HTTP equiv. And then after that, we have another important attribute called as name that you can use along with the meta element. So meta name is equal to description, and the content for that is giving the description of the complete web page in short. So suppose content is equal to music course delivered by Varda at Nasik. Okay. So this particular web page is giving the detailed information about the music course, which is delivered by whom? By Varda, at which city? At Nasik. So this is giving the description of the web page in short in the meta element. And then meta name is equal to keywords, and content is Varda, Nasik, music. So separated by commas, you can specify here the words. So what is use of this description and keywords? The use of this description and keywords is very much useful for search engines. When search engines are searching a particular web page, they may make use of these values, description and keywords. And then by using these keywords in the meta tag, one can identify a particular web page. Search engine can identify the particular web page and can give you the web pages. So that is what the use of meta element. Okay. So this way one can make use of meta element. Then next to the meta element, we are going to learn the next topic, such as how do we can code the text elements. I request all of you that you please mute your mics. If someone have started the mic, then please mute it. Okay. After metadata, I will be explaining you the next topic, and in that we will learn how we can code the text elements, and for that we are making use of the headings and paragraphs. So how you can code headings? You know that in HTML we have H1 to H6, means H1, H2, H3, H4, H5, and H6. These are the headings elements, and that you can use to code the text. So H1 will have a bigger font, lesser than that H2 will have, lesser than that H3 will have. Like that, the headings can be given, and they are varying from H1 to H6. Then you can insert the paragraphs by using P element, and this P element is the block element. We will see the difference between block level elements and the inline elements with the help of example. But here you just understand that this paragraph element and these heading elements, means P element and these H1 to H6 elements are the block elements. Then along with this headings and the paragraphs element, you can code some special blocks of the text. So how do we can code special blocks of the text? So for that, I will explain here the use of the pre-element, block quote element, and address element. Okay. So what is use of this pre-element? Pre means PRE. So this PRE element creates a block of pre-formatted text that preserves white space and displayed in monospace fonts. I will demo you these particular features by typing code, sample code. But here you just note that we can code the special blocks of the text by using PRE, block quote, and address elements. So what is PRE? Means pre-formatted text. If suppose I want that if I have given in 2 words, many white space. So many white space I have left purposely, and I want that it should appear as it is when the web page is rendered. So at that time you include that content in the PRE tag. Okay. Then there is a block quote. So this creates a block of the text that is indented. So if you want to make indentation to the different lines of the text, you can make use of the block quote. And this block quote is used for the actual quotes. So quotes will appear that, for example, suppose in paragraph, if you are writing some conversation in between 2 persons. Okay. So if I want to say that person X said, and then after that in double quotes, whatever the statement that the person have said, then you include that conversation in the block quote. So if person X said one line, then that line you just put in block quote so that it will appear as an actual quote. And this block quote element should be used in the another block element such as P. Then only it will work or it will render correctly. And then another element called as address that you can use for the special blocks of the text such as address. It creates a block of the text and that is displayed in italics. So normally when you want to give your address such as your residential address or your email address or your contact information, then you can put it in this particular address element. So thus this way you can code the text elements by using some block elements such as headings and paragraphs. Headings will supported by the elements H1 to H6 and paragraphs is supported by P element. And one can code the special blocks of the top text by using PRE for pre-formatted text, block quote, then address elements. Okay, we will see it with the help of a demo at the end of this particular presentation. So next to that, as we have learned the block level elements, now here we will learn in this slide that how do we can code inline elements. And what is the use of this coding of the inline elements? So we can code the inline elements for formatting and emphasizing text. And normally, inline elements are inserted in block elements. Means in P tag, you can make use of these inline elements. And they are purposely used for formatting of the text and for giving some emphasis to the text. So some common inline elements are such as this I element. What is the use of I element? It displays the content in italics. EM, it emphasizes that the content should be displayed in italics. So you can see that the output of these I and EM will be same, means it will be rendered as same. Then B displays content in bold, strong, emphasized by being displayed in bold. So B and strong will appear same. Then code. Code is the element that you can use as an inline element. Displays the content in a monospaced font. If you will see, normally whenever some code is written as an example code in a book or on a web page, then it is displayed in a monospaced font. It is displayed in a monospaced font, so that you can include in the code element. Then we have a sub element. So if you want to display something as a subscript, you know that H2O, in H2O, that 2 is a subscript of H. So if you want to put it as a subscript, that 2 as a subscript of H, then you can put it to the sub element. Another element is SUP. So it is used as a superscript. For example, for superscript example is for superscript, suppose say square. If you want to write 2's square is equal to 4. So that 2 will be superscript of the 2. So displays the content as a superscript. Then BR. So starts a new line of text, break row. This we already have used this element BR. So starts a new line of text. Now, these are the inline elements that we can use for formatting and emphasizing of the text. Now, what is difference between block elements and inline elements? The basic difference between block elements and inline elements is that block elements starts on a new line, always starts on a new line, while inline element doesn't change the line. It just appear from that particular point from where it is inserted in the web page. It doesn't start from the new line. So that is what the difference between block elements and inline elements. And therefore, normally the block level elements are used to define the structure of the web page. The blocks are put by using that. And inline elements are used for formatting and for emphasizing of the text. So that is the difference between block elements and the inline elements. Now proceed to the next slide. And in this slide, we will learn how we can code character entities. Before learning how to code character entities, first of all, understand what are character entities. So character entities are those that we use to put such a characters that you cannot directly put in the content, such as ampersand sign. If you want to put ampersand sign directly in the HTML, you cannot put it because it has a special meaning in HTML and therefore you cannot directly put it. But if you want to insert it somewhere in the text, the ampersand sign, so you can make use of the character entity such as ampersand followed by AMP semicolon. So that will put a ampersand sign. I will show you with the help of examples on this. Then after that, less than symbol. Less than symbol normally we use to specify the start tag. Less symbol and greater than symbol. We use them to specify the start and the end tags. And therefore, you cannot insert them directly in the content. But if you want to insert them, you can make use of the character entities such as ampersand LT semicolon, ampersand GT semicolon. Then another character entity is ampersand copy semicolon. What is the use of this ampersand copy? The use of ampersand copy is to insert the copyright symbol. Have you seen that C, and to that C a round circle is written? So that is the copyright symbol. Then registered trademark symbol you can insert by using ampersand reg. So registered trademark symbol, reg and trade, that you can use. Then cent symbol. So that cent symbol you can insert by using this ampersand cent. Then degree symbol, ampersand degree, plus minus symbol, ampersand plus Then here single quotes, starting single quotes and ending single quotes. So LSQO start single quote and RSQO it will be the ending single quote. Similarly, double quotes, LDQO start double quote and RDQUO end double quote. And then this is one another character entity which is called as NBSP, ampersand NBSP. This NBSP means non-breaking space. Non-breaking space means a blank space. If you want to insert, then you can use it as a ampersand NBSP. Okay, so I will demonstrate you the use of these common HTML character entities with the help of one practical, but at the end we will be implementing it in one HTML file, whatever the topics that we have learned. Okay, now after use of these character entities, let us proceed to the next slide. And in this particular next slide, we will learn how do we can make use of the div and the span elements. First of all, you understand that this div is the block level elements. This div is the block level elements and span is the inline element. Div is the block level, means it will start on a new line, and span is an inline element. So it will not start from the new line, from where whatever it is specified, the text will appear from that position, from that place. So how do you can code this div? Just start tag div, and in that you specify the content and close the div. Similarly, you can structure the text by using span element. So block element for structuring a web page, use this div element, and inline element for structuring the text, we can make use of span element. We can make use of span element. Okay, so we can code div and span elements. Next to that, we will see how do we can code the core attributes. So how we can code the core attributes? Core attributes I have selected and I will demo you them today. So some commonly used core HTML attributes are such as ID, class, title, and length. So what is this ID attribute? It specifies a unique identifier to the element. And this ID can be used in the CSS file selector, or this can be used in a JavaScript to move to a particular element. Similarly, there is a attribute, commonly used attribute called as class, and this class attribute is specifying the one or more class for the element. If you want that this element should be part of more classes, then you can specify a space separated list of the classes. So class is equal to one class, space another class, space third class, like that. So this way multiple classes can be specified. What is use of the value of the class attribute? So it is again be used as a selector by the CSS file, means by the cascading style sheet, or it can be used in the script. And in the script, if you want to select the text related to one class, then you can select likewise by using the attribute value class is equal to that, and that way that can be selected. Then one another attribute called as title. So this attribute title is used to specify the addition, more information about the element, and sometimes whatever the text that you have given to this title attribute will appear as a tooltip when mouse is over on that element. Okay, I will demonstrate to you the use of this title. So as a tooltip that will come. Then lang means for language. So it will identify the language that the content of an element is written in. Suppose I insert something in Marathi. So I will put there lang is equal to Marathi. So this way that lang attribute can also be used. So these are the commonly used core attributes. Then next to that, we will learn how do we can code links. So links, you know, what are the uses of links? If you want to render a particular page from a page, you can create links by using anchor elements. So anchor A element can be used. It is not compulsory that you can link to the different page only. You can link to a part of a same page also. If it is a very long page, if to a particular part, if you want to link, then that also you can do. That also you can code by using links. And to specify links, you need to specify URLs as a value to the href attribute. So whatever the URL that we can specify, it can be absolute URL, it can be relative URL. Now I will explain you the difference between absolute URL and relative URL by using this particular directory structure which is given in Muraj HTML books. The same I have copied over here. Everyone is able to see this diagram? Yes? A simple
Yes,
website
ma'am.
directory structure?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. It starts with a root directory. Normally, when a website is launched or it is get designed, it is on the root directory, and in the root directory we create the sub home pages such as images, books, styles, instructors, downloads. And this root is identified by the index.html. By default, the home page is index.html. Now in books folder, there are subfolders created like JavaScript, Oracle, PHP, XHTML. Again in downloads, there are subfolders, books and instructors. Okay, this is the directory structure. Now what are the absolute URLs? The examples of the absolute URLs are such as http://www.muraj.com/index.html means a welcome page. That particular home page of the website will be rendered. So this is the complete URL. This is the complete path that we have specified, and therefore this is the absolute URL. Similarly, one another example of the absolute URL, the root, and in the root books, and in the books JavaScript, and in the JavaScript toc.html. So complete path is specified, and therefore this is the absolute URL. But we may have the relative URL such as, if suppose you are in currently root directory, so I will not specify the complete start of that, but that I will directly refer to index.html. Similarly, if suppose I am in books directory, currently I am in books directory, so directly I will refer to the HTML page from here, which is in JavaScript, such as JavaScript/overview. Since I am currently in the books directory, I am not specifying that books/JavaScript/overview because I am currently in the books directory. So relative URL, we will try to identify that resource in the current directory. So that is relative to the current place where you are. So JavaScript/overview will refer to root books JavaScript overview because currently we are in books directory. So that is the difference between absolute and relative URLs. Okay, it is always better to specify absolute URLs if suppose by mistake if you are moving. But sometimes it is also good that to make use of relative URLs, because if you don't move this folder from this place to another place, still it will work because it will relative to that position, because it will be relative to that location. So this way one can make use of absolute URL and one can make use of relative URLs to specify the value to the href attribute of the anchor element, hyperlink reference. Href means hyperlink reference, and that way one can code the links. So this is what we have learned, that how do we can code links by making use of absolute relative URLs. Okay. Next to that, we will learn how do we can code list. So there are two types of the list which I have put over here. Actually, there are three types of the list. One is unordered, second one is ordered list, and third one is definition list. But see, for this particular topic of list, there is a separate detailed chapter again in your syllabus that we are going to cover. And in that chapter, we are also going to learn the CSS features that you can use with list. So at that time, I will tell you about the definition list. But here, to just introduce you about the list today, we will learn how do we can code list. We can code list by using UL element, means unordered list, OL element means ordered list, and LI is the element that will allow you to create the item in UL or in OL. So this way we can code the list. With the help of example, I will explain you today that how do we can code the list. Then how do you can include images in a web page. So inserting images is very much necessary. Nowadays, we want the user interface attractive and we want to demo the things with the help of the images. Normally, the common image formats supported are JPEG, GIF, and PNG that are normally get used because they are compressed ones, means they take less space. So JPEG stands for Joint Photographic Experts Group. GIF stands for Graphic Interchange Format. PNG stands for Portable Network Graphics. So by using IMG element, you can insert any image file which will of any format, either JPEG, GIF, or PNG. So these are commonly used. Another image formats are also there that can also be used with the IMG element. It is not necessary that only these three image formats should be used, but these are the commonly used and therefore I have listed over here. Now, what are the important attributes that we can use with the IMG element? So SRC is the important attribute and this is the required attribute, means you should compulsorily give SRC attribute. So SRC is equal to source of the image file. Source of the image file. So SRC is equal to, that can be the relative path or absolute path to the image file that you can give to the SRC value. Then there is an attribute called as ALT. So this ALT attribute is used for the specification of alternate text to display in the place of the image. This is also required attribute. So if suppose due to some reason, if the browser is not able to find out that image, or if suppose that image is get misplaced due to some reason, get deleted due to some reason, then at the place of that image, whatever the text that you have specified to this ALT attribute will appear, so that user can understand, okay, at this particular place, this image related to this image was there. So user can understand. Then long DSC means long description of the image can be specified by using this attribute long dex, long description. Then you can specify height of the image in pixels by making use of the attribute called as height. You can specify width of the image in pixels by using the width attribute. So commonly used attributes for the IMG element are SRC, ALT, long DSC, height, and width that we can use. So this way we can code the images. So coding of the text elements, links, list, and images is a topic that we are learning here in this particular session. And along with that, we are going to learn how do you can test and validate your web page. So this is what the way by which we can test and validate the web page. So to validate the HTML page, validation of the HTML file means what? If you are writing some HTML file and if that HTML file is not a valid file, means it is not satisfying all the rules which are written, so that that file is a standard HTML file satisfying all the rules, of the DTDs that are written in the DTD file, that if you want to check, then you can validate the HTML file. Means you can find out whether your HTML file is valid or not, and you can make use of the online service for that. So the web address of the W3C markup validation service is available on this website, http://validator.w3.org. So if you will click on this site, then you can submit your HTML page online to that, and you can check whether your file is valid or not. If some mistakes are there, some errors are there, it will list. So you correct. Once again, you upload your file, HTML file, and check whether it is valid or not. Similarly, one can see whether your CSS file is valid or not. And for that, the W3C CSS validation service is available on the web address jigsaw.w3.org/CSS validator. So CSS file can also be checked. Okay, so this way one can test and validate the web pages. Now, thus we have learned in this particular session that how do you can insert comments, how do you can code the head section, how do you can code the block elements, how do you can code the inline elements, how we can code the character entities, how we can make use of div and span elements, then how do you can add the links, then lists and the images in the HTML web page. So all these things that we have learned today will now perform with the help of one example. So let us perform this by using Notepad++. So here I will stop the presentation and I will open and will share you the version of one Notepad++ window, and in that we are going to type the page, a sample page. Everyone have understood the things, the topics that I have covered in this particular session about coding text elements, links, list, images, and about testing and validation of the web page? Yes? Yes? You can say? Yes, Pooja?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so let me share a notepad to you, and in that we are going to type the sample web page. So let us share, and from desktop I will open here one notepad file. So just create a new notepad. Everyone is able to see this notepad? Yes? Anyone can say yes?
No.
No,
No,
ma'am.
Oh, no. So I will share once again. Just close this.
दिसते मॅम
Yes,
आता.
ma'am. No, ma'am.
Yes, I will share once again. Just wait. Yes. Everyone is able to
Yes,
see?
ma'am.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Yes, ma'am. Okay. Just start now. Making use of the topics that we have learned today, we will see it practically. So DOC type HTML. Get the auto completion features, I should save that file as a .html. If I do not save it, then I will not be able to get that auto completion features. So coding text, then link, list and images. So code text, link, list, images, a big name I'm giving to the file, and then in that create head section. After that, create a body section and just indent them properly. So head section, body section here, and in head section, give title title such as information about say family health, like that some title is given. Now I have given you one idea that how do you can link a icon file. So for that, make use of link element. I will demo you how to link icon file. So link rel is equal to shortcut icon href equal to family.ico. This .ico file is there in my folder and therefore I am using it, family.ico, and type is equal to favicon, /ico, double quote complete, and end the link element. Okay, end the link element. So here, if I will run this, if I will launch it in the Firefox, see what I am getting. If you will see what title I have given to the page, information about family health. This title you can see that it is appearing over here, and here you can see a small icon file which is of family, like a family. So a small icon file you can see over here which is appearing at the title. So if you want that small image file, icon means it is like a simple image file. So that small icon file, a very small picture, is appearing over here at the title. So that way you can make use of the icon file over here. So by this you can do it. You can do it by your own also at home so that you can see it. So this way. Then after that, I have explained you comments. So I will give you some comments over here like this. This page is giving information about family health. Suppose close the comment. So here I have closed the comment. Comment is coming in some another color. Here, for example, it is coming in the green color. So comments start over here and comment ends over here. You can have multi-line comments. You can just continue and then you can end that comment with this. Okay. So you can have a single line comment. You can have a multi-line comment. And then after that, we will start here one paragraph, and so this is the block level element P, and in this we'll make use of the different elements PRE, block quote, and address that we have learned. So PRE, pre-formatted. So here in PRE and here I will give too much space. We should take care when we go outside home. Okay, so here I have given a too much space. Now you will see in the browsers, see here, we should take care. Let me increase the font. So tools, options, and here font, though it is increased, I am seeing it the same. Colors 24. Why it is appearing? Because for PRE that may be the setting. So we should take care when we go outside. So I should include it, suppose in H2. I can include it in H2. So let me include that whether it works in the H2 so that the font you will see big. So see it in C. Here the font is somewhat increased. So V and then followed by that space, whatever the space that I have given. So it is appearing same in the window. If suppose I do not put that in the PRE, what will happen? That particular space will be removed and it will adjust according to the browser. So and then there is no space. But if we want that, it should be as a pre-formatted text. It should appear as a pre-formatted text. So you should enclose it in the PRE. So see here, so here is the PRE and that will appear. So that closing tag I have to delete and I will insert it over here. So /PRE. So if you will see it in the browser, here V and then followed by that space, and it is appearing in the same way. And then after that, after PRE, we will see block quote. So block quote, and in block quote, what I am typing, doctor suggested or doctor said. This doctor said I will put it outside. Doctor said, and whatever the doctor said, that I will put it over here. Doctor said, take care and use masks. Okay, so this I am putting over here, block quotes. Now if I will run it, you can see this block quote in double quotation. It is coming to new line. Why? Because it is a block element. So that block quote element is starting from a new line and it is making use of indentation. So this take care is appearing after some indentation and a double quotes appear. Doctor said, take care and use mask. So that is what the block quote element. And then after that, you can see or the residential address of doctor. So here I will put address. Suppose say Sane Guruji colony, Sane Guruji colony, Jalgaon. If that is what the address that I want to give here, this is the address of doctor. So if I will launch it in the Firefox, see residential address Sane Guruji colony, Jalgaon. Again it is appear on the next line. Why? Because it is a block level element. So Sane Guruji colony, Jalgaon is appearing in italics. We have seen that this address is rendering the text in italics, and therefore Sane Guruji colony, Jalgaon is appearing in italics. Okay. So this way you can make use of. So here we have learned use of PRE element, block quote element and address element. Along with that we have used H2 element and P element, which are also the block elements. Now we will make use of some inline elements such as for italics, for bold, for putting code, subscript, superscript that we have learned. So let me make use of I tag. So see the letters coming in italics. Okay, so that will be in italics. And then after that EM, again in italics. Okay, so that is the EM. Then after EM we have a B tag for bold. See the letters in bold. After bold, make use of strong element, strong. So again in bold. After strong, we'll make use of code. Make use of C code such as printf hello. then code, make use of SUB for super subscript. So H, here I will put H, and then 2 as a subscript and O, H2O. So it will appear as a H2O. And then 2 square, it's suppose superscript. 2 square is equal to 4. So 2 square, so superscript. And then BR on another line. On another line, the text is. On another line, text is. So like this. Here we have used I, EM, B, strong, code, sub, sup, and BR tag. Now here, if I will render this all tags and I will launch this page in the Firefox, see the output coming. After this address, I have written, see the letters coming in italics. So since they are inline elements, they are coming not on the next lines, but they are get rendered there itself. So see the letters coming in italics, again in italics. Then due to B, see the letters in bold. Due to strong, again in bold. And this is in monospace font. Make use of C code such as printf hello world. And then H2O, and this 2 square is equal to 4. And due to BR, it is going to the another line. And on another line, the text is. So like that here, I, then EM, then B, then strong, then code, and then SUB, SUP, and BR. These tags we have used, which are the inline elements. Okay, everyone is able to see the output and have understood these tags, use of these tags.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes.
Then next to that, we'll be learning how to make use of character entities. So take break row, and then here just put a new line and see use of character entities. And here just insert some text such as, suppose I wish ampersand AMP, I wish, and will appear there. I wish and pray to God for happiness. Okay, this is suppose the line. So this I have inserted. You can insert it in the paragraph also. So this particular line I am inserting here, and in that I have used AMP, this character entity, ampersand AMP semicolon. So see here, if I will run it in the Firefox, I wish and pray to God for happiness. So this ampersand has been inserted as a character. Okay. Now, if at the place of this ampersand AMP, if I directly put ampersand sign, it will give you error. It will not render it properly. Okay. Then in the paragraph, I will make use of some another entities. So BR, break row, and make use of the another entity. So I will put here less than and greater than symbol. So 4 is less than. So ampersand LT greater than is less than 3. And greater than means ampersand GT and greater than 9. Okay, so 9. This line I have put, and here I have made use of ampersand LT and ampersand GT. So if you will see it in the Firefox, see here 4 is less than 3, less than symbol is appearing, and greater than 9, so greater than symbol is appearing. Okay, otherwise if we try to insert these characters less than and greater than symbols, they will not be allowed to put to us directly. Then again, I will directly put here some symbols such as copyright symbol. You can put copyright symbol. You can put by using ampersand copy semicolon, then BR. After copyright, just put a symbol for registered trademark. So ampersand REG semicolon, then put BR and just put here ampersand trade semicolon, then put a break row and just see here ampersand sent semicolon, put break and put here ampersand degree. So that will be the degree sign. So ampersand degree, then break row, ampersand plus minus symbol. So plus MN semicolon. Okay. So just see the output of this launch in Firefox. See here. If you will see copyright symbol, can you see copyright symbol? Then registered symbol for trademark symbol. This is for sent. Then this is degree symbol plus minus symbol. So this way, this you can see this particular use of character entities you can see over there. Then you can find out double quotes, single quotes. So if you want to insert these double quotes and single quotes, then you can put it as this, such as BR. He said, like that. And if you want to put double quotes, then you can put ampersand LDQUO semicolon. He said, take care. Or we can say, doctor said, take care. Then here, ampersand RDQUO. So that will be the closing double quote. That will be the closing double quote. And just refresh. See here. Doctor said in double quotes, take care. At the place of single quotes, you can, at the place of double quotes, you can put single quotes. So just here put LS. S for single quote. At the place again RS. And if you will refresh, the take care will appear in the single quotes. Okay. Then here if suppose in this particular line, see use of character entities. And here if I want to insert some non-breaking space. So how do I can put it? Ampersand NBSP semicolon, ampersand NBSP semicolon, ampersand NBSP semicolon. I am inserting three instances to see the output correctly. So it will just insert some spaces. Non-breaking space will be inserted. See the output over here. See the use of character entity. See here, some space is inserted in between C and use. And this is due to that ampersand NBSP. So if you want to insert some space there in between some letters or somewhere in between the elements, you can do it by using non-breaking space symbols NBSP. Okay, so this way one can make use of this NBSP. Everyone have understood about the use of character entities, the demo for character entities, along with some block level and inline elements. Yes? Yes? Anyone can say yes? Okay. Then next to that, we will learn the use of div and the span elements. So let me take a new file, or suppose in the same file I can put it here. I can make divisions. Or here we will take a new file, and in the new file just start Save this as a text file. So demo, save this as a demo file, and here in that this head section, and then after head section we have a body section. In head section you can give title, demonstration of div span link list and images and img element. Okay, and then after that in body section just make a use of div. So it will be the first one. This is about unit 1. The another division div, this is about unit 2. Another div, this is about unit 3. Okay, and then here in the div you can just insert the span, and in span the topics, are like that, and then again the same line topics are we can copy here in this. Similarly you can copy it over here, and then you can see the output. Launching Firefox. See, this is about unit 1, the topics are. This is about unit 2, the topics are. This is about unit 3, topics are. Now, if you will see the code, then you can see in the code that this div are rendered on new line. Why? Because those are block elements, while this span are rendered on the same line after unit 1. Now, here, if you want that it should appear on the new line, you should insert this in the paragraph, or you can put a break row. So this span you can put it here in the paragraph like that. So here this P and this topics are you can put, because P is the block level element. So put it over here again, this P, and put it here. So this span start tag should be over here. So like this. Now if you will render it, you can see this is about unit 1, the topics are. This is about unit 2, the topics are, and like that it is giving you the output. Now if you will see the difference between div and span over here, that div is the block level and span is the inline element which starts on the place from where it starts. So this is the difference. Now here we are going to make use of the attributes, commonly used attributes such as ID, class, and the language. So here for the span, if suppose I am making use of language attribute, so lang is equal to English, en I can use, or English I can specify. So here use of the lang attribute I have done. Then for div, class is equal to, suppose say MCA. If I am using it, class is equal to MCA. So for this, class is equal to MCA. So like this. Again for this, class is equal to MCA, like this. And now for this P tag, if suppose I am giving identifier, so P ID is equal to say P1, like this. ID is equal to P1. Here I will give ID is equal to say P2, and here ID is equal to P3. So this way we have make use of the class attribute, ID attribute, and this language attribute lang attribute. Okay. Now one more attribute is title. So that title attribute gives the additional information and sometimes it appears as a tooltip. So, but if you want that it should appear as a tooltip, normally we make use of it in the form. So for example, if I put a form action is equal to some value, method is equal to either get or post. I will not going to put it here, and then just simply I will put here input type is equal to text name is equal to n1, and here title. So title is equal to enter your complete name. Enter your complete name, and here I will close this. So here I have make use of the title attribute for the input type is equal to text element, and for that I have make use of this title. Title I can use to p also, to span also, but here it will not appear as a tooltip, but here you can see that it is appearing as a tooltip. So we can see it here. I can put it in the paragraph. So this closing paragraph I will be putting after form. So it will appear on new line. Now let us see the output. Launch it in the Firefox. See, if I will move on to the text box, can you see the tooltip is coming? Enter your complete name. A tooltip is coming over there. Enter your complete name. I made a spelling mistake. Enter you. So your. It should be your. So enter your complete name, and then I will remove here the semicolon, and then if I will launch it in the browser, see here, I can see enter your complete name as a tooltip. That tooltip is coming over here. And now the use of that class and ID attributes. These class and ID attributes, you can use it specifically in the CSS file as a selectors. I will demo you when we will start about the CSS files, how to make use of these as a selectors. So here we have learned how to make use of div and the span elements along with the commonly used attributes such as class, ID, then lang and the title. Now after this, we will learn how do we can make use of the list, or how we can code the list. So let us code the list over here. So in the first paragraph, I will put, suppose say unordered list. So unordered list, and in that unordered list, just put li. The topics are, first topic is suppose say overview. Second topic li, features. Third topics li, examples and demonstration. Okay, so you will, if you will see in the browser, see here unordered list, overview, features, example and demonstration are coming. Okay, now in second paragraph I will insert here the OL, or to the same, if I make OL at the place of U, I will just put O, and here also at the place of U, I am making ordered list. So if I will see it, launch it in the browser, 1, 2, 3. So this will be what the ordered list. Difference between unordered and ordered: for unordered we get bullets, and for ordered we get 1, 2, 3. You can change this. If I want it in Roman, if I want some image as a bullet, that also we can do. So that I will tell you when in detail we are going to learn more about the list along with the CSS features. Okay, but here I have given you a clear idea that how do you can design your own list by using OL and UL. Then after coding of the list, we'll see how do you can code the links. So for links, for example, here if I'm going to put a link, so the detail or href, I can give here URL, that can be a website address as well. If suppose http:// www.w3.org. Okay, so here you should visit for details. Okay, so here I have inserted a link. href is equal to this website, and the text is you should visit for details, and closing of the anchor tag. Now if I will launch it, then the topics are, and then here the link is coming, you should visit for details. If I click on this, then what will happen? This particular page will come, w3.org. So since here internet is available, we are going to that particular website. If it is not, it will not be possible to see. Okay, then after that, after linking or after making use of the anchor tag, we will see how do you can insert a image. So img, but then for that we'll require some image. So let me copy one sample image. So this is a JPG file, and simply I am giving you C as a name to the file, and then just insert here. Here I will insert img src is equal to c.jpg. So this will be the relative URL. If a complete I have to give, then desktop/today/c.jpg, that I have to give as a absolute URL. So img src is equal to c.jpg, and then alt. This is about components. This is about components, and close the img tag. And run it in the Firefox. I'm not able to see it, the image. Let me img src is equal to c.jpg. alt, this is about components. Run it. See here, the image is coming, which is c.jpg. Okay, so that way we can insert the image, and then you can specify the other attributes such as long description. You can give long description is equal to components are of ... So detailed you can give over here a long description. Then height, if suppose I'm giving say 300, and width giving it suppose say 400. So it is in terms of pixels. So height and width I have given. So launch it in C. Height and width is get reduced to that particular percentage that I have given. So this way the image can be inserted by using the img element, and for that we have make use of the src attribute, alt, long dac, and height and width. Now if you will see it, you can find out this way. Now if suppose I change the name of the image, say c1.apg, so that c1.apg is not over there, so I will launch it in the web browser. So this is about components. Can you see this is as the alternate text? This is about components that is appearing. So this is about the components, that is the alternate text. Since image is not able to render, I am getting the alternate text. This is about components. But if I give the correct name of the page, that particular will disappear, alternate text, and at the place of that alternate text, image will come. Okay, image will come. So thus this way we can make use of the img element. Get it? Okay. So this way we have put here the div element, span element, link element, list element, and img element, and that we have used. So here with the help of examples, we learn how do you can insert comments, how do you can insert title, meta tag, how you can include the icon file, then how do you can make use of the block level elements such as heading elements, paragraph elements, PRE, block quote, address that we can use. Along with that, how do you can make use of the inline elements such as span, I, EM, B, strong, code, sub, subscript for SUP, BR. And then along with that, we have learned many character entities that we can insert. So this way we have learned about making use of these elements. And then the last topic that we'll be learning over here, which is about testing and validation of the web page. So for that, let me share you the web page. I will share you my presentation once again. So everyone, you are able to see the slide about the validation of the web page? Yes? Anyone can say yes? Are you able to see?
No, ma'am.
Are you there? Are you there?
No, ma'am.
No? Okay, I
No,
will
ma'am.
share once again. I will share once again.
Yes, ma'am.
Now able to see?
Yes, ma'am.
Everyone is able to
Yes,
see
ma'am.
the slide? Okay. Now we are going to learn how do you can validate an HTML file. So for validation of the HTML file, you should make use of the W3C markup validation service, which is available on this website address http://validator.w3. So just open this particular website address. So I will end show here and I will open it in the browser. Validatorw3.org. See, everyone, you are able to see this web page which I have opened in the browser? Yes? Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Now we will try to validate our file. So we'll make use of validate by file upload. And now I will select here browse, and from browse I will select the folder today, and from that let us pass this demo.html file. So demo and open. And then here there are more options such as what you want to check, whether only the character encoding you want to check or what, I will put by default all the options, and demo.html I will assign to check. See here, this W3C markup is checking. So these many errors I have shown. See, warning. So here from line 1 to column 16 to line 2, column 6. Then again here there is a error. Again here there is a error, bad value for this long description for attribute. Then here the bad value for the attribute action, because I do not have inserted any value over here. So similarly bad value for method. Then similarly here for P, I have inserted, but I have not put over there some data. So this way the errors are coming. And now if I will resolve these errors and if I will upload it once again, I can get that everything is correct and then your file is valid. So at this time that particular file is not valid due to some reasons like this, that unnecessary somewhere we have not put the values, such as for example to action, to this particular method that we have not inserted. So like this some things we do not have inserted correctly, and therefore it is giving us some warnings and the error. So this way one can make use of this service, which is W3C's markup validation service. So what you do, you try to validate your own pages. Whatever the web page that you will be designing, what you do, you try to validate it by the file upload, or you can directly input. For example, if I give here some input such as doc type, then HTML, and then here if I give HTML, and here I give head, and then slash head body slash body, and then here slash HTML, and then in head I will give some title. So demo page, close this title, 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 close it, and in body just put one h1 and put welcome, and close this h1, close this, and then validate it. So check it. So if I will check it, then what do this have given me? This have given one warning. Consider adding a lang attribute to the HTML start tag to declare the language of this document. Okay. So whatever the suggestion that they have given me, I will put here to HTML lang is equal to in double quote English, INGLISH, English, double quote is there, and then once again check. Now there is from line 1 column 16 to line 2 column 23. The language subtag English is not a valid INA language. Okay. So that particular language should be valid one. So this English word is not valid. So I have to search for a valid name, valid language name. And if I put that one, so that time this HTML parser will give me the correct one. So this is using HTML parser, and the total execution time required is 2 milliseconds only. So this way the validation service we can use, which is available online on validator.w3.org. So I will close here. Similarly, for CSS file, you can make use of W3C's CSS validation service file, which is available on jigsaw.w3.org/cs-validator. Okay. So for today, we will stop here, and in the next lecture, the topics related to mathematics markup language and about the SVG we are going to start. Any difficulty in the topics that today we have covered? If you have any difficulty, then you can ask.